The U.S. Department of Transportation is reviewing an extremely disturbing incident on a United Airlines flight. A passenger who refused to give up his seat on an overbooked flight was forcibly dragged off the plane, and it was all caught on video. Watch.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! No! My God!
You can see quite clearly security officers yanking the man from his seat on a flight bound for Kentucky Sunday. Other passenger video shows him with a bloodied mouth. The airline says it needed the space for 4 crew members. Officials have placed one of the security officers on leave pending a review. Well, United CEO released this statement. This is an upsetting event to all of us here at United. I apologize for having to re-accommodate these customers. Our team is moving with a sense of urgency to work with the authorities and conduct our own detailed review of what happened. I'm pleased to say I'm joined now by defense attorney Sara Azari. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Let me just start with just that statement. I mean, what is that? United CEO released it saying, apologize for having to re-accommodate these.
That's like the least of their worries, right? Because they're looking at a pretty big lawsuit here. There was a severe use of force on this man that was really uncalled for. And I'll tell you this, while there is the Code of Federal Regulations provides that you can even involuntarily deny boarding to passengers when the flight is full. In this case, he had already boarded. He was seated, he was buckled in, ready to take off, and that's illegal. There are very specific...
So that is clearly illegal because he was already in his seat.
They had put him on the plane, you know, and the only time they can eject you in that situation from the flight is if you pose a terrorist threat, if you are drunk and obnoxious, or, you know, you're a safety threat to yourself or others, or there's some medical emergency. None of those exceptions applied here. So this is a classic case of an airline overselling, and I have a serious problem with that as a traveler myself. They oversell, they overbook, and in this case, they made the mistake of not addressing that issue before everyone boarded.
So what about those people who say, not to but I know that some people at home may be saying, well, they asked him to get up. You know, it's in the airline. Is it in the airline small print? Is it anywhere in kind of to cover the airline here that says if they've oversold? I mean, obviously it went too far, but that, you know, they can take you off the flight.
At this point, they really need to hope that people would do this voluntarily. And they offered $400, $800, and then $1,000. Nobody would volunteer to get off. This is Sunday night. People want to get home. People want to get to work on Monday morning. Nobody was going to do this voluntarily. So then they resorted to, we're going to involuntarily ask 4 people to leave to accommodate these crew members.
Are we clear on how they chose the 4 people?
It's interesting. I was looking into that, and it doesn't seem to be, there is a system in place. And it appears to be a combo of random selection by the computer as well as employees. Like, for instance, if you're a family, you know, they try not to break up the family. They try to keep you together if you're traveling together. So obviously this man was by himself, so he was sort of probably one of the first choices of people to boot out. They figure, and also it's about your destination and how long you have to wait for the next flight to that destination.
Although we are hearing that he was actually with his wife on that flight.
Oh, well then.
So, you know, the whole, again, it is also murky. So tell me, in terms of legal options for him, the expectation is there will be a lawsuit. What would that look like?
Well, first of all, the Department of Transportation allows him to recover up to 4 times the amount of his travel costs, which, you know, to me, this is way beyond that. Civil lawsuit, you know, because there was excessive force used, and it's humiliating, and, you know, he was bleeding. I mean, it was awful what we saw on video. And then also, I think I would try to push for some criminal prosecution too. There were no exceptions against the airline and the security officers, because it's essentially assault and battery when there's no justification for them to use this kind of force on this man. It was really sort of out of line. I think people forget that today we have smartphones and we get to document everything. So
it's distressing video. Every time I see it, every time I hear it, I find it very difficult to watch. So we appreciate you just explaining, you know, what lies ahead, what potentially lies ahead, and just how out of the norm this was.
It's very unusual, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.